What's up everyone, Bradley Jack Design here. Let me just change my screen so you can actually see what's going on. What's up? I'm back with another design breakdown. This time we're going to take a look at this Daron Holmes, the second graphic I made of Daron Holmes. He's a player for the University of Dayton, which is where I went to college. I went to this game, awesome game, Flyers won. So I wanted to show you what it took to make this graphic. So this all started with these photos that I got from Keegan Gupta, who works at the University of Dayton. So these were the photos that I received. So I actually started off with setting up a composition sort of like this, but we'll go through and just show you what each layer unveils. Actually, let's see if I can show you what I did and why. Let's go through that. I think that's more helpful than just being like, hey, this is what the layers look like. So here's Daron Holmes here. So there's 4 different layers here actually. We've got this back layer, which I don't know actually why it's there. Oh, it's set to screen, so it screens on this background. So I'll turn the background on. It's just a red square with a big black border. I did that because I wanted to have comic books vibes as if this was a photo out of a comic book. This is adding in, I guess, some normal areas. I'm kind of confused why that's there. This here is adding on, oh, this is the normal photo. This is what it is after edits. So let me go in here and show you what I did, because I did the same edits to each of the other photos. So this is the photo of Daron. You can hop in here, clipped out even more here. So a lot of editing went into this. My normal editing that I do, if you've seen my channel before, it's my BJD2 sports action. Copied over the coloring a little bit, set to color. A couple selective colors to tweak the color of the skin and the ball and anything that's supposed to be red. Hue and saturation layer, whitened his teeth a little bit, just from the overcast of the lights. And then this curves layer is actually blind, so you can't see it. And then I just have a layer of color on top of everything to desaturate the whites. So you see the overcast of where the lights hit it. This is setting it to white. We'll save that even though I don't need to. And we'll go here. So I had it originally just like that. But then I wanted to make it look a little bit more comic booky, a little bit more inky. So I have this file here with a threshold on top of it. This one is set to screen and this group is set to multiplying. Basically what these do, if I get rid of this is what it does. So the bottom layer is only showing white. So it's just, here's just the whites, the very highlight whites. And then the top one is the very darks, just where the dark tones are, the shadows. So then we put them on top. When I have one set to screen, it only shows white, and multiplied only shows black. It just gives it a little bit more of an actual like comic book look. So that's what I did for that photo. I did it for the other photos as well. That's a little bit of an orb thing. So that was before, this was after. Again, same editing techniques as the other one. And then the back Holmes as well was the same. So when creating this, I was using, this is just a case. I was using this as a backdrop. So this is the original background to the first photo. And actually the second photo is lined up pretty well to where he would be. He's not even close to here in the original photo. He stands like right here, but I just wanted to use this as a progression, as a background with that same threshold on it. So it's only the blacks. And then I have a layer on top of this, which is just a little bit ghosted of a luminosity to 20%. So you can still see a little bit more of the details. But you can see here, really big comic book vibes, which is what I was going for. This sort of overprinting, or the printing, the real threshold, stuff like that. But I wanted to split it up so there was action that was outside this contained border. So that's when I added these in. So what these are is they're just basically lines that I have a posterize on top of, and a gradient map of the Flyers blue. And the posterize is set to 13 levels. It's just what I thought looked nice. And then there's a color halftone on top of this. So let me turn these off. So here's the original image right here. So I did a posterize, which sort of just softens it up a little bit. Then put a normal gradient map on top. And then I added a color halftone to it, which then made it look like this. And since the color halftone has a gradient map on top of it, it's just that color. Otherwise, it would just be regular. So I did that for all three of these, spaced them out evenly so there would be a nice little hierarchy left to right. Let me fix this real quick because actually this is the correct photo. There, that's better. So once I had these three set up, I wanted to figure out how to make this more actionable, make it more comic book hero-y. So I looked around and just at like different animes of like what energy orbs look like, and came to the conclusion that on the front guy here, I created something that looked like this. So if I get rid of Daron for a second here so we can actually see what we're looking at. So basically I just made a circle and just sort of a sun. You know, a circle with some lines coming off of it that fade out. So it's like a sun blast. Now what I did to that though was I added a blur gallery to it. And I added an iris blur set to like 1,333,000,000. And what that did was it kind of made this like sort of flowery shape with the offset of it. And that looked kind of cool to me. So I took that, duplicated the same image on top, but with a different blur gallery on it. This one has a blur gallery of an iris, but it's only 15%, so you can still see a lot of the outlines. And I think I added some grain as well, 50% grain to that. So that's what I did for the initial ball. I then just added, you know, a shot of a screened blue to brighten it up a little bit. Let me see what this is. That is nothing. I'll use that as a container. So it's all contained within this. And then added some more blue on top just to brighten it up. It's like just a couple different layers of screened blue. So then we had this. So then I just went in and basically painted around his head here where blue would be. Added a curves layer, which is going around the edge to give it a little bit of just like an edge lighting, especially up here where the ball is. And then I added some blue with an overlay and blue with a screen on top of this same area, so it looked like it was lighting through his hair, through his hand. And I did that for the other guys as well. So I added this ball around his hair, added some layers so it was reflecting and shining on his hand. And then let's see what we have here. And then I have similar orb behind him. Now these are slightly different orbs. They don't have as many lines coming off of it because it's not charged. It's not fully charged. So this has a lot of lines fully charged. You know, the dunk is charged. This one is charging. And the one back here actually doesn't have much at all. So just some color adjustments and a lighter outside rim on that. And then we have some blue and some blue. And there should be somewhere. Uh-oh. There it is. Oh, here we go. Here are the blue orbs. So these blue orbs are on top as well. And are these... Yeah, these are masked to where his hand is. So it's the same blue color. It's the same process. Basically taking an orb, lighting it up theoretically. And this one doesn't have any of these triangles. So I originally had these triangles in here. So, you know, had a couple, but then I just took them all out. So it actually doesn't have any triangles. And this is all stuff I can delete because it never got, didn't get past the cutting room floor. So once I had this, I liked what we were looking at. So I wanted to figure out how to add text. So the broadcasters at the game are great. So I watched the clip of him making this dunk, and he says Daron, and then he says Holmes II. So I wanted to emulate that, and that's using a comic book font. Let's find Daron. So it's using classic comic italic, and then I just gave it a stroke and then just a bunch of drop shadows. And the drop shadows pretty much just change. I just have it basically go an extra 2 pixels each time. So 12, 14, 16, 20 actually on that one, but 8, 6, 2. So basically just every 2 pixels it drops out. It's an easy, quick way to have a drop shadow. So I applied that to Daron. And actually I have the letters individually placed on here so I can move them around. And then same thing with Holmes. So you can see it's a bunch of H-O-L Holmes. So I basically just wanted them to sort of move along how a commentator would say his name. So we've got Daron Holmes. I went ahead and put Holmes behind the middle guy just so it had some more depth to the piece as well. Then added just a little Meanwhile in Dayton up at the top. I added this yellow to it after the fact, after these halftones I did, which I'll show you in a sec. But just, Meanwhile in Dayton, pretty simple, sort of a tag you would see in a comic book in the same font. Then added some paper textures. This one's more of like a gritty, canvasy, hard cardboard. But you can see it just adds tiny little specks of white. And this is a newspaper texture that adds a lot of darkness back to it. So just adding a little bit of texture to it. Then I added these halftones set to luminosity. So what I did, whenever I add halftones to a whole piece, I'll make a new layer, combine everything together, convert it to a smart object. I'll then go into that layer and make it 300 times as big. So I change this to be %, hit OK. And then I'll go up to filter, pixelate color halftone, and then I'll say 4 pixels. And then that'll give it a halftone like that. So I'll save it, go back, and then I'll take that and I'll shrink that back down to size. So I'll just hit 333, shrink it down to size, and then I'll change it to luminosity. So it's just changing the lightness of what is behind it instead of the color. Because you can see in his skin, you can see the colors, but when you go back, it is just the normal color of what his skin is instead of CMYK. So I added this Meanwhile yellow because I think that's really what color they are. They're different. But then I just added a couple more paper textures to the top. This one's just adding some more black grit. And then this one is adding some more white texture to it. And then that is it. So start to finish, that is what I did here. Just sort of taking inspiration from comic book pages and anime. And just a couple different things to combine this together. But I mean, the main thing was the sequence of photos I was able to get from Keegan that allowed me to make this cool piece. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys learned something from this. If you guys have any questions for me or anything, feel free to ask. You can hop into my Discord, which is in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time for the next stream or the next design breakdown. You guys have a nice day.